Hi, my name is Cassidy Cox, and my presentation is on isolation exercises. So to begin with just an introduction into these exercises, they are both dynamic and isometric muscle action exercises, and they are single joint exercises which recruit small muscular regions and only include one joint. So an example of this would be a biceps curl. They also aim at isolating specific core muscles without the involvement of the upper and lower body. So an example of this would be side plank or prone plank. So these exercises are key for only wanting to train one area of your body. And for athletes, it can help athletes a lot because it can help them focus on proper technique, but also load the desired muscular region with the exact amount of weight and reps. So these exercises are very beneficial for rehabilitation after an injury, bodybuilders, and any muscular imbalances one might find. For physical therapy and rehabilitation, these exercises are the most popular exercises for physical therapists to prescribe for their patients. And in an article that I found, it states that therapists determine which muscles need to get strengthened after an injury, before and after joint surgery, or rehabilitation after conditioning. And then something that I found from our textbook states that isolation exercises may be the most beneficial for injured athletes who are going through the rehabilitation process and are not able to adequately load traditional ground-based free weight exercises. And here I just have some example of good isolation exercises. So I have the dumbbell lateral raises, sit-ups, bicep curls, and then side plank, prone plank, and tricep kickbacks. And there are obviously more isolation exercises. These are just the ones that I listed. For effectiveness of the training program. So can isolation-based training program improve power? So to improve power production, single joint exercise training can be used to mimic sport-specific actions and vectors. For example, performing calf raises, leg curls, leg extensions to strengthen specific muscles in the lower body that might fatigue much faster. But however, just doing isolation-based exercises won't significantly improve power compared to if an athlete was doing both single joint and multi-joint exercises. For speed. So to improve speed, an athlete would need to obviously focus mainly on lower body exercises. And it is kind of hard to target specific muscles in the lower body solely because the lower body is made of so many muscles, and majority of lower body exercises involve more than one major muscle group. So there are a limited amount of isolation exercises to do for the lower body, but some examples are hamstring curls, calf raises, lateral leg raises, and leg extensions. And to improve speed, an athlete would need to do more than just single joint exercises. They would need to include both multi-joint, single joint, and like structural exercises that load the spine. So examples would be lunges, deadlifts, and other variations of squats. So back squat, front squat. To improve agility, so this would include fast pace and high intensity exercises. And specifically, these are exercises that put a lot of stress on our joints. So examples would be shuttle run, jump box drills, lateral plyometric jumps. And all of those exercises are multi-joint exercises. So an isolation-based training program would not significantly improve agility or at all. Strength. So and to improve strength through isolation exercises, this can be very beneficial, especially, for example, when somebody's wanting to improve calf strength, an athlete will find more significant results faster if they're doing calf raises, isolating the gastrocnemius muscle, compared to if they're just doing multiple squats. Another example would be if an athlete wants to improve grip strength, an athlete would find good results by practicing wrist curls, which isolate the forearm muscles compared to if they're just holding heavy weights around. To improve performance on a bench press, which is a compound exercise, an athlete would need to strengthen their triceps prior, so they could practice exercises like tricep extension or tricep kickbacks, which are isolation exercises. So these exercises are key for an athlete to build strength at a faster rate, but by incorporating both types of workouts will be more beneficial since compound exercises do target more large muscle groups. For muscular endurance, so to improve muscular endurance, an athlete will need to perform exercises that target our slow twitch muscle fibers, and our bodies can't grow more slow twitch muscle fibers, but we can strengthen them for our overall performance. So exercises that involve isometric contractions with minimal joint movement can improve muscular endurance. So examples would be side planks and prone planks. But other ways to improve or target our slow twitch muscle fibers to improve endurance would be increasing the number of reps and decreasing the amount of weight. And we can easily do this in our bicep curls or tricep kickbacks or tricep extension exercises. Body composition. So for an athlete to improve their body composition, the goal is to lower their overall body fat percentage. So this can be done by increasing lean muscle tissue and also reducing stored body fat. But also to do this, you need to maximize muscle activation. That's key to improving body composition. So just strictly doing isolation exercises will not improve that, and our bodies will essentially plateau and we will not see the results that we want to see. So to improve our overall body composition, doing a mixture of power, core, structural, and assistance exercises will be the most beneficial. For aerobic and anaerobic capacity outcomes, during our anaerobic exercises, our muscles break down glucose for energy because oxygen is not getting delivered to our muscles fast enough. So isolation exercises can improve our anaerobic capacity outcomes because these exercises are done in short intervals, but at a high intensity. So for example, an athlete could perform calf raises at a very fast pace for about 10 to 120 seconds. And in this time frame, the gastrocnemius muscle will start to burn because it is being pushed to its max. But then after those reps are done, the athlete will not be able to perform another set at the exact same intensity. And for aerobic capacity, this will not exactly be improved because aerobic capacity or aerobic exercises need to be done for a longer period of time, and oxygen is used for energy. Scientific data on isolation exercises. So an article that I found says strengthening specific muscles such as the gluteus maximus, psoas, serratus anterior, rotator cuff, biceps, triceps through isolated single joint and muscle training may provide a valuable prehab effect and thus decrease the likelihood of injury. So the incorporation of isolation exercises into our training programs is beneficial to athletes because they will strengthen the specific muscles in the movement pattern that are performed during our multi-joint exercises. So when it comes to chronic participation in isolation-based training program, over time, it is going to lead to both overuse injuries and overtraining because of the repeated muscle contraction and repetitive single joint motion, which will eventually cause a micro trauma to our tissues. So an example of this would be biceps tendonitis if an athlete is constantly doing bicep curls and not taking a break, and from the repeated motion of constantly doing the bicep curl, it can cause their biceps muscle to become very inflamed and be very painful. And then for overtraining, this can occur just because there are a limited amount of isolation exercises to do, and we need variation in our workouts. So an example would be upper and lower body days, push and pull days, or even metabolic conditioning and resistance training days. Our bodies do need those rest days and variation to see results. And by doing that, we will just decrease the possibility of any overuse injuries, overtraining, or even a plateau in our training. This is just an example program for somebody who's wanting to do an isolation-based training program. I did it in total of 5 days, and It varies from upper body and lower body. So days 1, 3, and 5 are upper body, but I also included some core strength training at the beginning of those days. And then day 2 and 4 are lower body days. And there are a limited amount of exercises for isolation-based training. So the exercise days aren't as long. And I tried to keep the weight low starting out and keep their reps not increasing at all, and then a minimal amount of sets as well. But I feel like it's key, since these muscles will fatigue faster, to keep the weight pretty low at the beginning. And then here's day 4 and day 5 of the training program, still incorporating abdominal exercises as well at the beginning of those days. So in conclusion, isolation exercises are very essential to training programs. However, just doing an isolation-based training program will not be very effective. For example, it doesn't allow for much variation. It makes an athlete more prone to overtrain or experience an overuse injury. It can also lead to boredom or burnout. Our bodies will eventually plateau because we can only increase our weight so much because these muscles fatigue so much faster. There will be minimal increases in power, speed, agility, strength, muscular endurance, body composition, and aerobic capacity, but there will be more of a significant increase in overall strength. And certain muscle groups that can't be activated in single joint exercises will begin to hypertrophy. And here are my citations, and that's all.